Hello everyone, this is Aaron from Ohio Bar Hop, coming to you from my home bar here in Columbus, Ohio. Yesterday I had the opportunity to go down to Marietta, Ohio. A bar owner down there had contacted me and he told me that things were really bad in Marietta and that his sales were down 95%. Now I've been hearing across the state from other bar owners and bars and restaurants that sales are down 40, 50, sometimes 60+%, but this number actually just astounded me, and I had to go check it out. So I went down there yesterday to talk to him. It's absolutely true. What's happening in Marietta right now is just a very sad story. If you watch what's going on right now on the news or the governor's press conferences, you would think that Ohio is completely open at this point and that business is back to usual, especially with the new dining order that the governor put into place this last week here. The headlines and what's coming out of the governor's mouth is absolutely deceiving because really nothing has changed for the bar and restaurant industry, especially with liquor service. The 10 p.m. curfew is still in effect, and it is affecting bars across the state in ways that you probably can't even imagine. So when I went down to Marietta yesterday and talked to this bar owner, while I was down there, two other bars had heard that I was in town and wanted to talk as well. So I traveled to three bars last night down in Marietta, and really it was kind of the same story with all of them. The first bar I went to there, like I said, his sales are down like 95%. The second bar I talked to, they're not even open right now because they can't get enough business to even justify it. And the third bar is barely keeping his head above water at this point. Things are very dire in our industry right now across the state. And one of the reasons this is happening, especially in Marietta, is because right across the bridge, they're right on the Ohio River, and right across the bridge is West Virginia. And West Virginia's liquor service goes till 3 a.m., and they are still doing that. And what I heard from all three of these bar owners is that they're losing all their business to West Virginia right now. So whatever the governor wanted to do to stop the spread of COVID with bars closing at 10 o'clock, I can tell you from bars on the inside of the state, and I can tell you from bars on the border, it's not working. Because what's happening is people are either going to house parties or they're going across the border to another state that is more friendly to our industry, and they're patronizing those bars and spending their money there. So I want you to hear the stories of these three bar owners down in Marietta, Ohio. Listen to what's going on with them. These are fellow Ohioans, and I want you to see what is happening with their businesses. So let's go down and talk to Isaac first down at his bar in Marietta, Ohio. We are here today with Isaac. He's the owner of the Locker Room Sports Bar. How are you doing today?
Doing well.
So I got a message from you last week or earlier this week. You saying your business was really hurting. Can you tell me a little bit what's happening here in Marietta?
Correct. We open at 8 p.m. till 2:30 a.m., typically 4 days a week, because of the statewide restrictions now for liquor establishments. We now are no longer permitted to sell alcohol past 10 p.m. and we have to have all the drinks up by 11 p.m. A lot of our crowd doesn't even come out until 11 p.m. or midnight. We've had to restrict hours now. We're open 3 days a week, 3 hours a night. It's almost not even worth being open.
So you're actually only open for business 9 hours a week?
Correct.
You were telling me you were like 95% down in sales?
Yes, it's almost not even worth being open. I mean, it's who comes out at 8 o'clock when you're this is a bar that gets people at 11 o'clock at midnight, and now yes, we're way down. I pay a bartender. I have a dozen or so employees generally. Now I have one. She works 9 hours a week. That's about it. It's just sometimes I wonder, am I stupid for not just simply closing and turning off all my utilities, as several other bars in the area have done. I guess just trying to keep our name out there, keep some sort of semblance of reality, of normalcy. But I might be a fool for that, but that's what I've been doing.
A lot of the other bars that I've been to are actually in a similar situation to where you're at here. where you're right on the border of another state. You said we're about a mile or less than a mile away from West Virginia, right across the bridge here.
Correct.
What's happening after 10 o'clock when the bars close here?
Well, at 10 o'clock we stop selling. They can stay here and finish their drinks until 11. But usually between 10 and 11, it's just a steady funnel of, if we have those 25 or 30 people who might be out that early to start, they're all meeting up, they're texting, they're whatever, and they're meeting up with the later crowd that we would typically have in the first place, and everybody's just going to West Virginia. I mean, there's no restrictions over there other than, there's supposed to be limited capacity or distancing or masks, but from what I've seen, nothing is really being enforced with that. And literally where I sit, I can see the bridge to West Virginia a block and a half away. And right there is West Virginia. You can drive, there's a bar right on the other side of that bridge, and you can drive another 10 or 15 minutes and you can have your hand full of a dozen different bars.
How late are the bars staying open over there?
3 a.m.
So they're basically getting...
They're taking all our business plus theirs and living it up, if you will. And we're fighting over scraps for 2 hours of business. It is, we're lucky to have a dozen people.
You told me last month you cleared $800 in sales?
800 and change. 800 and change. A little over 800.
In sales for the whole month?
For the entire month.
And you just checked your drawer from last night. What have you got here?
Without an official count, it looks like I made about $30 last night.
And that's gross sales. That's not
gross sales. 30,
Not-
40 bucks. I paid a bartender 15. She probably made, another 10 or $20 in tips. She went home with 40 bucks. I went home hoping that I made enough to pay her and just cover the cost of the alcohol. We don't have a DJ anymore. We don't have a door person anymore. We don't need bouncers. We don't have a cleanup crew. I mean, we do, but when there's not much to clean up, I guess is what I'm saying. It's sanitation, efforts and everything as far as with the COVID are being taken, but it's empty.
So if you had anything to say to the governor or our legislators right now in Columbus about what's happening in our industry or how they can help our industry going forward, what would you have to say to them?
Let us stay open, let us stay open until 2:30. He's said, I've heard him mention how most establishments are doing great and there's just a few bad apples and a few outliers. If that's the case, let us stay open. Can't you handle those few bad outliers just as you would be doing right now? But let us have, the good places that you yourself, Governor DeWine, have stated. Let us stay open and be good places as you've already said we are.
And you told me you're not the only bar in Marietta here that's having issues like this. You just introduced me to some friends of yours that own a bar down the street. We're going to go talk to them in a few minutes here. And they're actually closed right now.
They haven't even bothered to fool with their 9 hours a week that I'm doing, and they're probably smart. It's more of a headache than it is anything else.
Well, we're going to head over there in a little bit and talk to them, but thanks for your time. Thanks for sitting down with us today, and I really hope that we have better days ahead for our industry.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. We're down here at Double L Bar in Marietta, Ohio. We're talking to Brian, who's one of the co-owners of the bar here with his wife. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
So tell me a little bit, I was talking to Isaac earlier about what's happening in Marietta here with the bar industry, especially with the 10 p.m. closure. What's happening with your bar here?
Well, since the 10 p.m. closing, we've not had any business. Our customer base is a late night crowd, so we're basically closed.
And you guys closed at the initial shutdown. You said you tried to reopen at one point for like about 6 weeks, you said?
Yeah,
and
we got 6 weeks.
What happened during that period? What made you close back down again?
The 10 o'clock curfew. We tried a couple days and it just didn't make sense to turn the electric and the air conditioners and all that on for it.
So you're normally getting a late night crowd then, and opening the early hours, you're not able to get that crowd in earlier at all.
No, we tried a couple times, and everybody shows up at the 10 o'clock curfew wanting to come in, and we can't sell them anything, so we just have not been opening.
And you've owned the bar for how long now? How many years?
August of '97, so I think this August would have been 24 years.
Have you ever seen anything like this before?
No. No, I mean, it's not the same as it was 24 years ago, but I've never seen anything like this, period.
I asked Isaac the same question down the street, but what's happening at 10 o'clock here, especially being so close to the West Virginia border?
Well, most of the time, if they even come here, they're going to leave at 10 o'clock and go across the river to the bars that are open over there, and they're open till 3. So, but most of the time they're just going there instead. You know, there's a few stragglers that show up every now and then. There's some out-of-town people that don't realize that we have to close at 10. But when you tell them I can't serve you, they're like, "What? I've never," you know. People from out of state think they're like amazed that we have that.
And you've basically been shut down for 6 months minus the 6 weeks you were able to reopen.
Yes.
That's got to be taking a financial toll on you right now.
Pretty much all of our savings.
What are you looking at for the future? I mean, how much longer can you guys hold on?
That's unknown right now. I mean, we're playing it week by week. Every week we're like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And if we knew that we could go back at a certain time, you know, well, if we can make it till then all be good. But that's unknown at this point. I mean, the 10 o'clock curfew is supposed to end mid to late November, but from then on, you know, what are they going to do next? Are we going to be able to open back up then? If we can do that, we can probably be all right. But if it continues on, we'll be out of business.
Sadly, that's the story I'm hearing from so many bars across the state right now. You know, a lot of bar owners that I've talked to have just told me that unless they have some more certainty, they don't think things are going to change for them, and they might not be in business much longer, which is a sad state, and which is why I'm doing what I'm doing here. I'm going to keep fighting on behalf of our industry. I'm going to try to keep showcasing voices like you and your wife here at your bar, so people can see what's happening to our industry and how much this is devastating us. So I wish you guys all the best in the future, and I hope next time I see you, it's in better days.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Well, we're here at Gators Pub in Marietta, Ohio. I was down at a couple other bars tonight and heard you guys were hurting just like everyone else.
Just like everybody else, yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about your business here and what you got going on here?
No, I started 6.5 years ago. Owner operated, serve foods, drinks, entertainment. Right now we're trying to adapt and overcome everything we can to keep the doors open, keep the bills paid, and try to make a living.
So with everything that's happened this year, with the initial shutdown for the 2 months we had to close as bars, and then now with the 10 p.m. curfew, what has that done to your business?
Thank God I had some savings. I was able to maintain through the shutdown and keep the bills paid. And when we were able to open, we opened June 3rd. We were doing well. I was able to recoup some of what we had to spend. And then we were hit with the shutdown, the early shutdown. And that just allows us to maintain. It just allows us to keep the bills paid. And so far we've been able to keep the doors open. That's it, exist.
What time does your crowd normally come in here? When do you normally get a crowd?
Now or before?
Before, like if this
Before
never
with regular
happened,
hours, the normal crowd started in between 9 and 10.
So basically
we
what's
really
happening,
got busy between 11 and 12 until 2.
So basically what's happening right now then is you're getting you're not getting most of your crowd, because when they normally would come in,
I'm getting penalized for a few bad apples. We all are. There's most of the bars and bar owners that I know are doing everything possible to comply.
And as I talked to a couple other bars here in town, we're right on the border of West Virginia. What's going on with that, with the crowds? Are people leaving the state and going over there?
Well, right now we have to do last call at 10. We have to close at 11. So we do last call at 10. The place pretty much empties out, and people go across the river to Williamstown or Parkersburg, who can stay open till 3 o'clock. Can't blame them. that, or they'll leave here, go to a convenience store, buy their alcohol, and go to somebody's house.
So either house parties or going across state lines to another bar.
It's not, they're not going home. They're still continuing to go out and party and socially interact. They're just not able to do it here, where it's disinfected every day. It's safe, it's monitored, we can control how much they drink. And he's taken that away, the governor has, with his closing bill.
What I'm seeing as I'm going across the state is most businesses that are being hurt the most like this are just like yours, small businesses.
Yes.
You know, the winners in this are not the small business owners. We were talking just a second ago about your liquor license.
Yes.
How do you feel about the fees you're paying on your liquor license right now?
I feel robbed. I've been sold a product that I cannot use. I was sold a liquor license to be open until 2:30, and then the state turned around and said, no, you have to close at 11. So I feel robbed. They sold me a product I can't use.
And if you had anything you want to tell Governor DeWine directly or any of our legislators in Columbus that might help our industry right now, what would you have to say to them?
That we're being wrongfully penalized because what we do does not promote the coronavirus. We're not promoting sickness. We work extra hard not to. We disinfect every time somebody gets up. We disinfect every day. And I guarantee you, my bar is as clean, if not cleaner, than his house.
Well, I thank you for your time today, Gator, and sitting down with us, and I hope we have better days ahead.
I can only hope so.
Take care.
Thank you.
This is where we're at, guys. I do the best I can to showcase the stories of people in this industry that are hurting. And I purposefully don't edit the videos down for snippets and little sound bites. I want you to hear the whole story, and I don't want to deceptively edit anything to make it sound like it's anything that it's not. So that's why every time I do a video, you can see their entire story, you can see the entire interview that I do with them, because I think it's important that you see their faces and you see exactly what they have to say about what's happening in our industry. This 10 o'clock curfew is destroying lives, and Governor DeWine needs to rescind this 10 p.m. curfew if he does not want so many tens of thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of Ohioans' lives to be completely ruined by this, because it is happening. And we're coming into the fall now with colder weather, and these warmer months that have helped our industry are going away very quickly. And we need to fix this problem before we come into our slower months to begin with. There is a bill I've talked to you guys about several occasions here on the page. It is House Bill 757. This bill would end the 10 p.m. curfew. If it gets a veto-proof majority, it can override the governor's veto. The problem right now is that Speaker of the House, Robert Cupp, is holding this bill up. He has no intention, from my sources right now inside the State House, of getting this bill into committee so we can have hearings on it until after the November election. You've heard the stories time and time again that I've shown you here on the page. Bars and restaurants in the state right now do not have that much time. So many of them are not going to make it that long. So I encourage you to get on your phone and email and contact your representative in the House, Ohio House. Tell them to support this legislation. And then I also want you to get on your phone and email and contact Speaker of the House Cupp and tell him to do his job and convene the Rules and Reference Committee so that we can get House Bill 757 into committee for hearings and testimony to provide the much needed relief that the bar and restaurant industry needs right now. As always, folks, I am happy to be an advocate for this industry. I'm happy to show the stories of what's happening across our state and our industry. And I want to represent you if you are a service industry professional that is hurting because of these regulations. So I want you to get a hold of me here on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. You can get a hold of me right here on social media. You can call my phone directly at 614-290-7375, or you can email me at ohiobarhop@gmail.com. If you're hurting because of the excessive regulations happening across our state right now, please get a hold of me. I want to share your story, and I want to bring some much needed relief to our industry in the state of Ohio. If anything breaks and comes new with House Bill 757, I will absolutely bring those updates to you guys. And as always, folks, hope you have a great week, and I will be back soon.